Yes, thanks, Dave, but we're not going to let you go before we thank you for really summarizing it very much for us visually and giving us a great deal of information and giving you a sense of the scope of what we're trying to do. Dave, I was most impressed by the last week with Kristen Hoffman. We've been always trying to get an oceans anthem, and we may not have arrived yet, but certainly she was committed enough to write that piece for us at your program a couple of years ago. Most importantly, I'm glad that you bring the arts and entertainment to the table. Those of us in the UN community in the scientific fields are really quite impressed at how much data we have had. And yet I think we need to translate it in a way that only artists can. And I'm hoping that we might involve the arts more fully, the storytellers, the poets, the painters, the filmmakers. Because art is an aesthetic medium. It deals in the realm of beauty. It touches the best in us and can heighten our care level. If you want to care about something, let the artist convey the message. And I hope that this is not just an afterthought, but that will keep the artist very, very fully engaged in what we're trying. So thank you very much. I think I very much appreciate that. Dave said many things. I'll just quickly highlight a couple. He mentioned that the UN is now becoming more fully aware of the role of civil society, and it opens the process to major groups. The UN, as you know, is an intergovernmental organization. We are very jealous of our prerogatives. We talk NGO language, but when the NGOs appear at the table, they appear as guests of the process. We invite them, they make a presentation, we thank them, and they go home. Now the UN is opening the process somewhat and has identified 9 major groups. And I hope they'll take advantage of this and really become part of the global dialogue. And I hope people like yourselves from the ocean community will become a more active part of the global dialogue. Dave mentioned the fact that we're trying to get a State of the Oceans report. And this is really very vital because we really do not have it yet. My program produces, the United Nations Environment Program, used to produce a State of the Environment report, and the oceans will be a chapter. But the oceans are sufficiently important that they should have their own report. The ocean doesn't come together any place at the UN. We have the Law of the Sea Secretariat, and that's very fine. We have the International Oceans Commission at UNESCO, and we have a variety of other bodies. But we need to give the oceans a more central focus. We need to lobby for the seas and oceans more. And I hope that the wave of change might provide you with a kind of umbrella and framework whereby you'll be able to take this charge on very, very urgently. My sense is that the world is inching its way toward ocean care. My hope is that the US will exercise leadership in this. And my feeling is that the new administration might take the responsibility that's expected of it, ratify the convention, and assert much more leadership in things oceanic. It's not a benefit for the UN. You're a very large oceanic power with the largest navy in the world. The oceans matter to you and what happens in the United States. So my hope is that we can rely on you to encourage your government to take a more active leadership role in what's happening in the ocean. Mobilize in case of piracy, but there are other threats, much more urgent. You're doing a good job in trying to create the marine protected areas. I don't think the world has acknowledged the US leadership on the marine protected areas, but I think there are now 2 big areas that President Bush had dedicated the American policy toward. And I hope we can see much more of this coming from the US. So just my little appeal to you that get your government much more involved. The world expects leadership from you. Here's one of the realities about the United States. If the United States acts, it has consequences. If it doesn't act, it has consequences. We want to see more US action on the ocean because I think they will take notice. So, Dave, I think you've given us an introduction to a new opportunity. I think Congressman Castor is very much on our side. We have some friends in the Congress that might move this agenda forward. We understand that the ratification by the United States may be coming sometime within our lifetime, and that's a very hopeful sign. So we can only hope that you can push this process forward. Ladies and gentlemen, what we'd like to do now is to have a conversation among all of us. But we'd like to invite some of our friends to stimulate that conversation by introducing their spheres of work and giving us a little bit of insight. We've asked them to limit their remarks to 5 minutes. That's really very difficult when you deal with a large and complex subject, but they've promised me that they will abide by this directive and are prepared to do this. So why don't I invite Kathy Novak, Peter Clark, Libby Featherstone, Mike Waugh, Sarah Anderson, and Vince Albanese. If they come.
Don Melman is pinch-hitting for Shira.
And Don Melman, my friend, is here. Please. And let me state again who we are. Kim Novak is from the Ocean Conservancy.
I'm actually pinch-hitting for Captain.
A pinch hitter again. And you are, sir?
I'm TJ Marshall.
Hi, TJ. TJ Marshall is pinch hitting for Kathy Novak. Welcome, sir. And there is here with the Ocean. Peter Clark, he's already here. We have heard from him. He is in the restoration. Libby Featherstone from the Ocean Conservancy. Libby, are you with us? Excellent. Libby is with us. And Mike Waugh. Mike? Hello, sir. Welcome. And Sarah Anderson from Senator Bill Nelson's office.
She's not here. Don is going to.
Don is
Don,
here.
on your other side.
Thank you, sir. And Vince Albanese. Vince is president of the Green Armada. He's also the managing director of something called Ocean Fest. And Vince, I hope you could just say a few words about Ocean Fest, because, ladies and gentlemen, we're a species guided by rituals and festivals. I'm not sure how many of us appreciate the ritually starved people. In the developing countries, we still have rituals and festivals that bring people together. Not all of us have been lucky enough to go to Carnival in Rio, but that's a festival that brings the entire country together. We need an ocean festival. And Vince, I really hope you know that this group will be behind you in putting this festival and making it a success, because we need to have that kind of excitement, of entertainment, of fantasy, of film and art, to give us that sense that the oceans matter is very much part of what we do and how we live. So why don't I begin with the Ocean Conservancy, and then we take it from there. I will not ask for questions after each speaker unless someone has a really burning point. We'd like to have them make their presentations, and then we will follow that up with a really good conversation. The floor is yours, Ocean Conservancy.